now call the February 21st, 2017 regular council meeting to order. Would council members please denote your presence by depressing your yes switch? The chair would entertain a motion to, by minute action, excuse the absence of Councilman Huckabee.
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Walsh, seconded by Councilman Morgan. Please cast your vote. Please record the vote.
With all members voting aye, motion passes.
Is there anybody in the audience who would like to join me in leading the Pledge of Allegiance? Maybe a young lady sitting kind of in a front row or anything like that? Not at all? All right, come on up. Let's do this, ladies. What? All right, all right. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, you guys, you start us off.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Awesome. Thank you, ladies. The chair would entertain a motion to approve by minute action the minutes of the February 7th, 2017 regular council meeting as published in the Casper Star Tribune on February 14th, 2017.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Johnson, seconded by Councilman Hopkins. Corrections? Please cast your vote and please record the vote.
With all members voting aye, motion passes.
The chair would entertain a motion to approve by minute action the February 21st, 2017 bills and claims as audited by City Manager McDonald.
So moved. Second.
Okay, I caught a moved on this side. Moved by Councilman Johnson, seconded by Councilman Powell. Abstentions? Please cast your vote and please record the vote.
With all members voting aye, motion passes.
The Government Finance Officers Association has awarded the City of Casper its Distinguished Budget Presentation Award for its fiscal year 2017 budget. This is the 10th year the city has received this award. The award represents a significant achievement by the city. It reflects the commitment of the City Council and staff to meeting the highest principles of governmental budgeting. In order to receive this award, the city had to satisfy nationally recognized guidelines for effective budget presentation. When a Distinguished Budget Presentation Award is granted to the city, a certificate of recognition for budget presentation is also presented to the individual or department designated as being primarily responsible for its having achieved the award. Accordingly, the fiscal year 2017 award is also presented to Kurt Gunderson, City of Casper Accountant. Would you please come forward?
I think so, yeah.
You better hold it then.
Here, here.
I think we have probably one of the best finance departments in the world because every year I remember seeing this award. So you guys are rock stars. Thanks for everything you do, all the hard work and all the effort that you all put into it. We really appreciate it and it shows. Please read the consent agenda titles.
Established March 7th, 2017 as a public hearing date for consideration for the adoption of the 2017 electrical code.
The chair would entertain a motion to, by minute action, establish the public hearing date just read.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Councilman Pacheco, seconded by Councilman Murphy. Please cast your vote and please record the vote.
All members voting aye, motion passes.
I now declare the public hearing open for the consideration of the zoning of Wolf Creek 9 addition. Mr. City Attorney, do you have any exhibits?
I do, Your Honor. I have two exhibits for this item. Exhibit number 1 being correspondence from Liz Becker to V.H. McDonald, dated January 30th, 2017. Pardon me. And exhibit number 2, that being the affidavit of publication as published in the Casper Star Tribune, dated February 6th, 2017.
Mr. City Manager, report.
Your Honor, I need a mic on first. Your Honor, on January 17, 2017, the City Council reviewed and approved on first reading an ordinance annexing and platting the proposed 20.1 acre Wolf Creek 9 addition. In the related action, the property owner and applicant Mesa Development Incorporated has applied for R2 1-unit residential and R4 high-density residential zoning for the proposed Wolf Creek 9 addition. The proposed Wolf Creek 9 addition is located between the Wolf Creek neighborhood on the south and Mountain Plaza Shopping Center on the north. The Wolf Creek neighborhood consists of R1 residential estate properties, and the Mountain Plaza Shopping Center consists of commercial and multifamily uses. The applicant has stated that the intention of the R4 high-density residential portion of the Wolf Creek 9 addition is for the construction of twin homes. The proposed zoning of the Wolf Creek 9 addition provides a transition from lower density, less intense land uses on the south and higher density, more intense land uses on the north. The Casper Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval of the requested zoning after its public hearing on January 19, 2017.
At this time, I'd ask those individuals who wish to speak in favor of the issues involving the zoning of the Wolf Creek 9 addition, please approach the lectern. Good evening.
Madam Mayor, Council, I'm Sean Gustafson with ECS Engineers at 111 West 2nd Street, Suite 600. I'm here tonight to represent Mesa Development in this request for rezone. I think the city manager's report pretty well laid it out there, but I would like to just point out that the zoning R4 is up in the I guess it's in the north and western corner of this, the cul-de-sac next to the assisted living center and bordering the apartments to the back, where the rest of this, as it goes towards the R1 zoning of the Wolf Creek addition, is all R2 zoning, single family housing. I guess with that, I'd like to answer any questions. You may have noticed that the Wolf Creek 8 addition is now under construction. So,
Questions? Lots of blowing dirt today.
yes,
Sorry.
every day for that. Thank you.
Thanks. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in favor? At this time, I'd ask those individuals who wish to speak in opposition to the issues involving the zoning of Wolf Creek 9 addition, please approach the lectern. Anyone who wishes to speak in opposition? There being no others to speak for or against the issues involving the zoning of the Wolf Creek 9 addition, I now declare the public hearing closed. Please read the ordinance by title only.
An ordinance approving a zone change for the Wolf Creek 9 addition subdivision in the city of Casper, Wyoming.
The chair would entertain a motion to approve on first reading the ordinance just read.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Hopkins, seconded by Councilman Powell. Discussion. Amendments? Please cast your vote. And please record the vote.
With all members voting aye, motion passes.
I now declare the public hearing open for the consideration of the annual renewal of all currently issued liquor licenses. Mr. City Attorney, do you have any exhibits?
I do, Your Honor. I have 5 exhibits for this item. Exhibit number 1 being correspondence from Tracy Belser to V.H. McDonald, dated February 16th, 2017. Exhibit number 2, that being the affidavit of publication as published in the Casper Star Tribune, dated February 6th, 2017, which was the notice of the application for the renewal of a majority of the licenses that are before you this evening. Exhibit number 3, being the affidavit of website publication as published on the City of Casper website, dated February 13th, 2017, basically restating the same notice that I mentioned before, for the renewal of the majority of the liquor licenses. One license was accepted out and published on a different date because of timing issues, and the next two exhibits deal with that license. Exhibit number 4, that being the affidavit of publication as published in the Casper Star Tribune, dated February 6th, 2017, that being the notice of the application for Modern Electric, also known as Bootlegger, published later and separately, as I had mentioned. And exhibit number 5, that being the affidavit of website publication as published on the City of Casper website, dated February 13th, 2017, and that dealing again with the Modern Electric Bootlegger license that's pending before you this evening.
Thank you. Mr. City Manager, report.
Your Honor, annually, all liquor licenses issued by the City of Casper are subject to renewal by the City Council. Renewal of these licenses begin by the license holder submitting an application for renewal, with all applications reviewed by city staff and staff of the State Liquor Division. The licensing year for liquor licenses is April 1st through March 31st. For the upcoming year, there are 37 retail licenses, 31 restaurant licenses, 2 microbrewery licenses, 5 resort licenses, 8 bar and grill licenses, 1 satellite winery license, and 11 limited retail licenses applying for renewal. Of the 37 retail liquor licenses, there are 5 licenses that are inactive or park status for 2 years without having a functional physical building and not purchasing the required minimum amount of alcohol. However, of those licenses, 4 have indicated that they will be in business and operating by June of 2017. Additionally, concerning retail liquor licenses, license number 6 issued to Frosty's Beverage LLC, doing business as Frosty's Lounge. License number 21, Modern Electric Company, doing business as Wyoming Bootlegger Liquor. License number 36, Urban Market Wines LLC, doing business as Urban Bottle. And license number 37, Charger Holdings LLC, doing business as Yellowstone Garage, have restrictions and stipulations placed on those licenses. Of all the licenses applying for renewal, no holder received enough accumulated demerit points under the city's demerit point system for liquor law infractions, convictions on those infractions, to be subject to suspension or revocation as provided by the municipal code. All the restaurant and bar and grill licenses report meeting the required 60% of gross sales being from the sale of food. There is 1 license on sales tax hold with the state of Wyoming for not paying its sales tax, but the license may be renewed while on hold. And lastly, there were no felony violations for any violations related to the sale or manufacturing of alcohol, liquor, or malt beverages that would affect renewal. And all the necessary advertising and publishing has been made for this renewal process.
Thank you. At this time, I'd ask those individuals who wish to speak in favor of the issues involving the liquor license renewals to please approach the lectern. Good evening.
Your Honor. Your Honor, member of the council. I'm Michael Reed, 1615 Luker Drive, 82609. I'm here before you as one of the members of Tin Shack LLC, doing business as Poplar Wine and Spirits, liquor license number 1. I'm not here to speak for or against. I have something that I'd like to bring up. Your incident reports that you get, that you received at the last work session, that are on the web, list my establishment as having 14 incidents. Really, I only had 4 that had anything to do with Poplar Wine and Spirits. And I think when you put them on the net like that, you should try and come up with something that would break that out to show that people aren't having that many problems. You know that, but the people who are looking at the website do not know that. So if you could come up with something on that, I would appreciate it, and I think the other liquor dealers would too. And then I noticed in your minutes that Councilman Hopkins had asked about the Tipsy Taxi, now known as Safe Ride program, and that the chief had said that it had helped with DUIs, and we certainly appreciate his support of that. I thought it'd be a good idea if you had some more information again, and so I've got a little handout for you if I could get somebody to give it to you. And what that is that's the report that we get every month from the Alcohol Task Force. that meets with local law enforcement, Judge Nakbar, the PMO, the Wyoming Department of Transportation, and it gives you the breakdowns of the safe rides that we've provided. And if you notice on that, on page 2, you'll see that since 2010, we've provided 10,363 safe rides at a cost of approximately $135,000. And none of that money, of course, is government money. All that money's been either donated by the liquor dealers or fundraised through different fundraisers that we've done, including a couple Thankful Thursdays that have been very good to us, and donations from the community. So I just think it's important that you have that information. If only 20% of those 10,000 rides were additional DUIs, it would be a significant burden on the city. So just thought you ought to have that information. Again, those meetings are on I think the third Thursday of every month. We used to have a council person that came to those. It might be some good information. There's some additional information that you don't have there because I didn't want to copy it all, but it tells you about the number of DUIs, not only in the city, but in all of our surrounding communities, those by the Highway Patrol. It tells you the breakdown of the age groups, how many of them are brand new, how many of them are 4+. Gives you the blood alcohol level also. So just some information I thought would be good for you.
This is wonderful. Thank you.
I'd be
And
glad
thank
to
you
take
for
any
your
questions.
feedback on the website. So I appreciate that. Any questions for Mr. Reed? Go ahead.
Mr. Reed, and thank you for providing this. If I remember correctly, when you talked to us about Tipsy Taxi before,
Safe ride.
excuse me, Safe Ride, excuse me.
Thank you.
Change is hard.
I
think you were politely pointing out that the establishments that utilize Safe Ride to the greatest extent were often the establishments that contributed the least to the program. And maybe I'm misremembering that, but that there are some disparities, and that some of the folks that rarely use it are really providing the lion's share of the financial support. Is there still a problem with that disparity?
Yes, that disparity is going to stay there. I don't think you'll ever see it change. There are about 16 to 18 of the liquor retailers that are actively involved in funding and helping to raise money for Safe Ride. We get nothing from any of the big box stores. We get nothing from any of the national chains, and we've asked plenty. But as former Chief Pagel told us when we first started this program, we were going to have to swallow hard and just accept some things. I think if you look on last year's breakdown, you'll see that over 400 of the 700 rides were from outside of Casper proper. And those are from some places that don't necessarily support Safe Ride. I almost did it. But the important part that we look at Safe Ride is we want to keep people safe, and not just the people who shouldn't be driving, but the people who are driving down the road just innocent and get hit by some of these people. So we'll continue to do this as long as we can, as long as we can fundraise. We're scheduled for another Thankful Thursday this year, which has been a really good thing for us. We're sitting on about $26,000, which basically we will fund it for 2 years based on about 700 rides a year. So we'll keep working on it.
The program is in good shape financially, even though these organizations aren't really players.
It's in real good financial shape right now. Like I say, we've got enough money for about 2 years. We'll continue to fundraise and do everything we can. That's if it stays at 700 rides. If it goes double that, then we're going to have to really hustle. But we're committed to it.
Is there anything we can do to encourage these folks that aren't really participating to become more involved?
Next time you have a renewal, why don't you ask all of them that don't contribute to come down and explain why?
That's not a bad idea.
Somehow I knew that was coming, Mike.
Well, I was going to say you could give us a check, but I already know about that. But no, I think I think it would be a good idea to ask them why they don't. I mean, we've been to everybody numerous times. We've been to we've sent letters to corporate headquarters, and we get nothing. And it's $250 if you have a full retail license and a bar. It's $150 if you have a full retail license and if you're a bar and grill, and it's $100 if you're a restaurant. It's no money, but it
Standardized
helps.
fees, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, those are established fees. It's a drop in the bucket, but like I say, we'll keep working on it. We're not going anywhere on it.
Other questions or comments? Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Is there anyone else in the audience who wishes to speak in favor? Good evening.
Madam Mayor, Keith Goodenough, 333 South Saconee. I had some questions. I don't think when you were talking about the restrictions on the licenses that you explained exactly what those restrictions were. And so I'd like to ask what the restrictions on 6, 21, 36, and 37 are. I think 2 of them relate to Roger Hessler, but I don't know what the other 2 relate to.
Their location.
Madam Mayor, in what sense?
They have to stay there.
All right. Well, I guess my comment is the Roger Hessler limitation was placed on licenses that he had a connection to, the Frosties and the Sandbar licenses. Now that the Sandbar license has been transferred to somebody completely new, I guess I would question why there needs to be a restriction on an individual citizen for somebody that has nothing to do with that citizen. So just for your consideration.
Your Honor.
There was some discussion about that, so if that liquor license holder brings that forward, it's kind of due upon them to bring it to us to revise that. I heard somebody
I
over
was
here.
just going to say that.
Okay,
All right, thank you.
thank you. Anyone else who wishes to speak in favor? This time, I'd ask if there's anyone who wishes to speak in opposition to the liquor license renewals. Anyone who wishes to speak in opposition? There being no others to speak for or against the issues involving the liquor license renewals, I now declare the public hearing closed. The chair would entertain a motion to, by minute action, renew all currently issued liquor licenses.
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Walsh, seconded by Councilman Johnson. Councilman Morgan. Discussion. Councilman Walsh.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would like to set something up in the future. We've got the park liquor licenses. Some of them make perfect sense. Some of them I'm just not unsure of on the park status. The city manager's report indicated that by June of 17 that these will be active. Around that time frame, I would recommend we take a look at those, see if these are long-term park licenses that should not be, and maybe take action on those. And also, in response to the police calls that are associated to the liquor license view, we've got some experience in that, and Mike Reed is right. Maybe the easiest way to notify people of that would be, I don't know, make a comment down at the bottom of it that these are, they can be any type of service call, even if it's, I know that when I was the police chief, we would have accidents that would pull into Popular Wine and Spirits parking lot, and it's associated with that address. So you couldn't necessarily break them all down because of some of the issues on it, but put in there that they're not indicative of just alcohol problems.
Okay. Other discussion? Go ahead.
Just for everyone's information, we did, last fall, I think, have a discussion about addressing the whole issue of park licenses and city policies, and we've sort of been a victim of our traditions here, I think, where it's very difficult to change course when people have certain expectations of how that process will work. But we were waiting to see what happened with the legislation that is currently cranking through the process before we dealt with that locally. So I guess my general comment is that I know that maybe some of the things that I have said and other members of council have said about the caps and some of the concerns we've had about the license structure maybe haven't been appreciated by the liquor dealers. But in this case, I think the untold story here is we just have a remarkably committed group of license holders. And if you, unfortunately, it's a non-story when everything works the way it should. And the number of violations we have here is minuscule for a community our size. And it just speaks, again, speaks very well of the dealers and Mr. Reed in particular and Mr. Sweeney, who no longer holds a license but was actively involved in developing the programs where servers are trained and things are monitored and the system just works. And so we have very much to be thankful for as far as how our system operates, and it's because these people have taken their duties very seriously, and I appreciate it.
Well said. Other discussion? Amendments? Abstentions or nay votes? Please cast your vote, and please record the vote.
All members voting aye, motion passes.
Please read the consent ordinance on third reading by title only.
An ordinance approving the Ravencrest Addition subdivision agreement and the vacation and replat creating Ravencrest Addition comprising 6.6 acres, more or less.
The chair would entertain a motion to approve on third reading the consent ordinance just read.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Councilman Johnson, seconded by Councilman Murphy. Please cast your vote, and please record your vote.
With all members voting aye, motion passes.
Council will now consider consent resolutions. Please read the consent resolutions by title only.
Item 9A1, a resolution authorizing the release of 2 demolition liens filed against lots 13 and 14, block 129, Butler's West Addition to the city of Casper, Wyoming. Item 9A2, a resolution approving an amendment to Harmony Hills Addition Number 2 Phase 1 subdivision agreement, Harmony Hills Addition Number 2 Phase 2 subdivision agreement, and Harmony Hills Retail Lots 1 through 6, Harmony Hills Addition Number 2 Phase 2 site plan agreement. Item 9A3, a resolution authorizing an agreement with Playcore Wisconsin, Inc., doing business as Game Time, care of Great Western Recreation, LLC, for the Playground Equipment Improvements Project. Item 9A4, a resolution authorizing a right-of-way easement with Golan Properties, LLC, for the new water transmission main for the West Casper Zone 2 Water System Improvements Project. Item 9A5, a resolution authorizing a procurement agreement with Advanced Traffic Products for the Wavetronics Vehicle Detectors Procurement. Item 9A6, a resolution authorizing amendment number 1 to the contract for professional services with GPC Architects for professional services for the new Hogadon Lodge. Item 9A7, a resolution authorizing a final acceptance certificate with the Wyoming Department of Transportation for the school walkability project.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion to adopt the consent resolutions just read.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Powell, seconded by Councilman Walsh. Abstentions or nay votes? Please cast your vote, and please record the vote.
With all members voting aye, motion passes.
Council will now consider minute action items. Please read the consent minute action titles.
Item 10A1, acknowledging the receipt of financial disclosure information from city officials with public fund investment responsibility. Item 10A2, appointing Councilman Sean Johnson to the Central Wyoming Regional Water System Joint Powers Board for a 3-year term expiring December 31st, 2019.
The chair would entertain a motion to approve the consent minute action agenda items just read.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Morgan, seconded by Councilman Murphy. Abstentions or nay votes? Please cast your vote. And please record the vote.
All members voting aye, motion passes.
Okay, Councilman Murphy, you have somebody to introduce tonight.
I do. There was a restaurant downtown, and it's all closed up, so I don't know what's going on. But anyway, I looked into it, and because I like going there, and come to find out that Karen and Jim's restaurant and the Movie Star Lounge was closed, and but times change, and I think with what I found out that with the downtown, the way it's going, and the OID with the way everything's looking down there, it's going to really fit in nice. It's 2 blocks away from Yellowstone, and it's to the north. To the north and to the south, you look and see NCHS Stadium. So it's in a great location, and so I'd like to introduce Karen and Jim Canellis, the owners and operators of something that's going to reopen, I think.
Good evening. We're glad you could join us.
Thank you.
Jim and Karen Canellis, 1421 West 60th. Thank you, Todd, fellow council members and mayor. And it is true, Karen and Jim's was around for 19 years. Quite a successful business. We were very happy with it. But it is closed as of January 1st, and we are currently remodeling our location that we are in right now on 520 South Ash, and we are making it into a 21 and over venue. We decided that, of course, because we have a retail license, and with the David Street Plaza, and perhaps with some luck, a state building across the street, it is in our best interest to pursue a different avenue. And we've dealt with the city of Casper and the old Yellowstone district, and they've been extremely helpful in helping us shape our new business, which is going to be called the Office Bar and Grill. And it will be a bar that offers food and a sports bar, and we're going to put a patio out front. And we just thank the city and Old Yellowstone District, and we will keep running a very professional atmosphere as we have done in the past. Thank you for this time to be able to enlighten you on our new project.
Congratulations. This is pretty exciting. Councilman Walsh.
Yeah, I'd like to thank both of you. I loved your old place, and I'm sure your remodel is going to be fantastic. And I would just like everybody to know that Jim and Karen have been part of that core, very responsible group of alcohol dealers in this county for as long as I can remember, and work closely with the police department, with the Safe Ride Startup Program. They had nothing but positive. So I wish you the best of luck, and I thank you for everything you've done so far and look forward to what you've got next.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman Johnson.
Will there still be karaoke?
There will be.
Yes.
You do karaoke, huh? Oh, yeah. I'm going to have to watch this. All right. I foresee a council karaoke night. Anyone else? No? Congratulations. Thank you very much. Now's the time we'd invite anybody in the audience who wishes to speak to council to come forward. We'll need your name and address. We won't address personnel matters. We refer those to the city manager. We might not be able to answer all of your questions, and we try to keep you to 5 minutes. Good evening.
Good evening. Mike Allen, 6949 Umpqua River Road. I am the head coach of a girls' fast pitch softball team, and I'm sure you all are very aware of that. I've been here several times. We had this date marked on our calendar for a while, and it wasn't for the reason I'm here tonight. It was actually to come in to thank you all for giving us the opportunity to lease fields for our girls to play on. However, you had a work session a week or so ago in which that proposal was turned down by the city. I guess the reason that we are all here, I have team members, I have family, I have everyone here. The reason we're here isn't because we were turned down, it was because we want answers as to why it was turned down. We're not asking for Mike Lansing Field. We're asking for a rundown pair of softball fields that we felt that we could help you and you could help us. We could redo the entire fields. That was part of our proposal, was we absorb the cost. You absorb nothing. We turn these fields into beautiful fields, a place that you don't drive by and say, man, what is that? You know, these are run-down eyesores. And we've asked, I mean, we've done everything. We've put in a proposal. We even brought in a baseball team, a boys' baseball team, and that's like against everything that we stand for. We want girls to participate in sports, okay? And we are the only team that has a travel team in the fall. So we go and we travel to different places in Wyoming and outside of Wyoming to high school tournaments. It's not offered here. That's when we play balls in the fall. We actually go from right now until the end of October. So we try and keep these girls busy. We listen to the work session, trying to make sense of it. We listen to it online, and I still can't make sense of it. You voted 3 for, 6 against, and then there was discussion afterwards that was, so what are we going to do with the fields if we don't lease them? And I don't know. I mean, I don't know who voted for, who voted against. Thank you for the 4, okay? The 3 of you that voted for us, I'm all for you. Don't know who you are. But after that was voted down, then it was the discussion of, what do we do with the fields? Somebody said, oh, I don't know, I think if a group of guys wants to lease the fields for a weekend, I don't understand that. We have kids that want to play ball. We have plenty of adult fields. And then there was an argument about whether the fields were big enough. Somebody said that it could hit 275 feet. Great. You're not a woman. College softball fields are 220 feet. These fields are, I mean, a regulation field for girls softball is 195 to 225. These fields are 175. They're not tournament fields. I mean, we need a place to practice. We need a place that we can say, we practice Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and I don't have to worry about whether somebody's on our field. If we can come up with something, I mean, some of these girls come from Douglas. I have girls that travel from Douglas, from Glen Rock. I can't have them drive 45 minutes here and then find out that we can't even use the field because somebody else was there. So we have a fall team, okay? We hosted our very first tournament last year. And like I told you guys last year when I was in front of you, I don't go away. I will continue. Softball for girls is huge. But we have to have help from the city. We're a private organization. I get that. So is the Crush. The Crush is a private organization. They get fields leased to them.
We very much understand your frustration.
So I mean, we do a lot for the city. When we hosted our one tournament, we handed out a packet for every player on every team that showed up that only had local businesses, local restaurants, local hotels. This is what you want to do. This was welcome to Casper.
There were kind of a multitude of reasons why some of the council members felt that the field probably wasn't appropriate. For me personally, it came down to size, and I'll let some of the other councilmen kind of share what their concerns were. But before we really completely get into that, I want to check with the city manager and really let's find a solution. How does this team connect with somebody on city staff to get some field time?
Your Honor, if you recall last work session when this was discussed, Dan Coryell, the parks manager, said he would personally work through the scheduling issues to get schedules worked out.
So
And Dan's ready for that.
yeah, we didn't want to leave you hanging, so we have a contact for you who has promised council and all of us that they will get you field time. We don't want to leave you hanging. We want you guys to play ball, especially we want you girls to kick butt out there. So we're going to connect you with somebody that will get you some field time. With that, does anyone on council want to share some of the concerns that you had with the field? Councilman Johnson?
I didn't have any concern. I was one of the three that was in favor for that. One of the reasons you stated, I mean, what else are we doing with these fields? And then now that we're not going to lease them, we still don't know what we're going to do with the fields.
Right.
So I get your frustration.
But, I mean, and that was part of the whole proposal. I mean, we brought in the baseball team to help us. Not that we really needed the help, but I mean, two organizations with a lot of resources. I mean, we could turn that area into a beautiful location. Mm-hmm. And I guess and the cost was brought up, and I understand that. I mean, I understand that you guys had bids from contractors and it was going to cost you like $250,000. Well, I mean, we don't do business that way. You know what I mean? Contractors, when we get contractors, they're a sponsor for us. So, I mean, we get work done pennies on the dollar versus a city, the city of Casper. They're probably not in your best interest, you know what I'm saying? But they love us. I mean, and they support us. If we have a sign on a fence, that's great advertising for them. I've got several landscaping companies that are all over it. I mean, they'll do it for next to nothing. We pay for the materials. I mean, but our cost isn't going to be as high as the city of Casper's cost. So that's why I was like, what frustrated me was we're trying to beautify this field for the city of Casper, and you guys are getting beautiful fields for nothing. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's where we were at. We want to help you. You help us. We're not asking for a field that's already maintained by the city. We're not asking for Washington Park. We're not, I mean, and then when you look at these, and I've spoke with Dan, and I mean, and I'll speak with him again.
Do you have his contact
I do.
number? Okay.
I've spoke with him several times. But when you're talking about $50 an hour for my kids to practice ball, I can't do that. I mean, we practice in a gym, and we went through the school district. We got our insurance, and it's all cost. It's all a lot of cost, and I try and keep their costs down.
Right.
But at the same time, we have to be able to do this. I mean, I can't pay $50 an hour because we practice 2 or 3 hours a night, I mean.
Would you reach out to him again tomorrow? And then, V, would you hand him my cell phone number? Give me a call tomorrow and let me know how it goes. And then maybe we can brainstorm some other solutions.
Thank you.
We don't want to leave you guys hanging, so give him a chance tomorrow, and if it doesn't work, I'll be waiting for your phone call. Okay? Thank you. Good luck, ladies. Love the sign. Love that it's pink, too. Good evening.
Ryan Macon, 801 North Center, Suite D. I represent the Young Guns Baseball Organization. I'm the manager of the 10-year-old team. And we kind of fall in the same boat. We put together, I thought, was a very good proposal. We started trying to get these fields probably back in September. We spoke with Dan Coryell at the time, put together a very good proposal. Found out that the Casper Cobras were wanting it too. I met with Mike. We we decided to go into it together. We want to put the money into it. We don't want we don't expect anything. I know the basis of our program was we took kids that got cut from the Crush. The Crush is a program that you offer a field from. So they are out there cutting kids, releasing 10-year-old kids saying, hey, you're not good enough to play on our team. And I go over to those fields and there's signage on there saying, oh, you're not allowed to practice on these fields. Essentially, if I decided to hold a practice there tomorrow, I'd get kicked off the fields. You guys say there's plenty of fields. That's not true. Right now, I probably could practice on CYB fields. Is there nets up? No. Are they taken care of? No. But come Mother's Day weekend, May, CYB operates till July in there. That's when we play tournaments. We play tournaments Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and we go out of town to do that. I'm not getting adequate practice time. I'm going in there getting my butt whooped. As far as the size, when I go to Scotts Bluff, their fields are 160 feet. 160 feet. We're talking 170 feet those fields are. 10 years old, 9 years old, those are plenty size. I mean, even up to 12, you could adequately play there. Sorry about that. You know, all we want is an opportunity. That's all we want is an opportunity to put the money into it. If for some reason we don't match what you guys want, then fine, you take it over and it becomes an eyesore again. It's the same situation it is in now. But if we're going to put money into it, we need to know that we are the ones that, when we will let other teams practice, but if I schedule practice there at 6 o'clock, I need to know that my team is the one that's going to be there. We run a gun raffle. We raffle off, right now we're doing 28 guns. If I showed you the financials that we make off that, it'd probably blow your mind. And we have the money. We run off of a 5013C. We're nonprofit. All I want to do is give these kids an opportunity. We struggled last year because we couldn't practice. And that's all I want. And that's all I think Mike wants, is an opportunity. And it seems like you guys are not giving us that opportunity. But you'll give the Crush an opportunity. I mean, they build this beautiful, facility. And all we want is an opportunity of some rundown fields. And we want to know that we have precedence. And I'll let the Crush practice on there too. But they'll have to schedule around our time. But and as far as my team, I can't go up to Mike Cedar and practice. And I guarantee you they wouldn't even have practice, but one of them would kick me off instantly.
Will you do the same thing? Give Mr. Coriel a call tomorrow and then
I will. And we've dealt
you
with
know how to
Coriel,
track.
and it seems like he's just, I don't know, I think he has somebody on the Crush or something like that, a family member.
Do you still?
It seems like he's very, I listened to the whole recording, and it seems like, and he's looked me in the eyes. I've been working with him for a while. Oh, sounds like a great idea. And then when I heard his proposal, well, they're worried about having to accept cost to work on those fields. We'd prefer you guys not touch them. We want to do them our way. And all we want is your guys' backing saying, yeah.
Do you know how to get a hold of me?
What?
You still know how to get a hold of me?
Yeah, I know how to get a hold of you.
Okay.
And I meant to get a hold of you earlier, but I just feel like there's a balance. You know what I'm saying? I'd rather...
No,
But I'd rather put it on paper so everybody has an opportunity to look at it at once. And I don't even know if you guys got to see our proposal. We put together 2 proposals. We put one together for Mr. Coriel, put it together, and then we brought him another one that was updated. And we actually met with Mr. Coriel and his boss, I forget his name, out at the fields, and we went over it and we explained how we'd do it. And like he said, between the 2 organizations, he has, how many teams do you have? 2? And we have 4. That's 6 teams. 6 times 12, you're looking at 72 kids. Between them, I'm sure there's a landscaper and there's a parent. There's a, I'm sure there's a painter in there. I'm sure there's somebody who does fencing or construction. I'm sure we could get some things done for pennies on the dollar.
Try him tomorrow and then give me a call as well.
I will. Thank you so much, Ms. Mayor.
Councilman Johnson.
I personally would like to revisit this because we never got to see any proposal. So, and again, like he said, why not give them the opportunity? We give opportunities to other groups and entities like the Parkway, and we won't give some kids an opportunity to have some practice fields. It's just my opinion.
And thank you so much, Councilman Johnson. I agree, and that's all I want is an opportunity. If I fail in that opportunity, that's on me, and I'll have to live with that, but I just want that opportunity. And I'm sure Mike feels the same way.
Councilman Powell, Councilman Walsh, and then Councilman Morgan.
Thank you, Your Honor. It's very distressing to me when I hear that fields are being locked up and not shared. And so I did ask Mr. Coriel if he'd had any complaints from anyone about being locked out of the fields, because the lease agreements very clearly state that they must be made available to other groups upon request if they're not being used by the leaseholder. And to deny someone access to the field who makes a legitimate request is a violation of the lease and grounds for eventual termination of the lease. So have you actually talked to the leaseholders and said, we would like to use the fields on such and such dates, because, if I may finish, even if we were to reconsider, as Councilman Johnson suggests, that's more of a long-term problem. I mean, they're not gonna be ready for this year. So you guys you would still have to have access to existing facilities in the short term, and I wanna make sure that that happens. And so if there is any resistance that you or the girls softball team is receiving about access to fields that are leased, you need to speak up, and we need to hear about it, because I don't want to hear about those.
So here's my situation. CYB operates from Mother's Day weekend until middle of July. And they run their games Monday through Thursday. And they run 2 games. They have the 2 fields that would fit us perfectly, which are considered the 2A fields. And the 10, 11-year-olds, or 9, 10-year-olds play on those 2A fields. So they operate Monday through Thursday with 2 games. They run about 17 teams in 2A. My team last year, in order for my team to get practice time, I asked my kids to play 2A through CYB. The problem that I ran into is they're playing for a team like the Grasshoppers, which is a different coaching, and then I'm asking them to go to Scotts Bluff or down to Pueblo, Colorado, and represent the Young Guns organization down there. And they've been practicing under these because we didn't have fields to practice on during CYB. Now, on the weekends when CYB is operating, I can use the fields at a $10 minimum. And I don't mind paying the $10 minimum, but they're not being groomed. I have to pay extra to have them groomed. They're not being, basically I can't use cleats on them because they say it's too harsh on the fields to use cleats. So I bought all my kids' turf shoes last year in order to operate. As far as the Casper Crush, last year, there's no way I could get on those fields, no matter what their signage. I couldn't even go over there with my son on a Sunday and hit him ground balls. There's signage on those fields. I've worked really hard with Kaylin Hill, who is the president of them, of the Casper Crush. They now have 3 teams in my age group alone. And in Casper alone, you have 7 teams within the 10U group that travel. I've worked with Kaylin. He's very standoffish. I probably could work something out on Mike Cedar, but it wouldn't be as easy as we imagined. I could go take a picture of the signage that's on there that this property belongs to Casper Crush Baseball. Please stay off. There is signage on those fields at Mike Cedar that say that. CYB, I probably could practice there tomorrow night. I mean, the weather's good enough, but the problem is the nets aren't up yet, and also the fields need a little bit of grooming. If I had my own field, I could groom it. I could do everything I needed to before practice. I ran into a situation last year where I had the Gillette team come up, the Gillette Bulldogs come up for a doubleheader. And a week before they came up, I got called by Lorraine Peterson, who is the CYB secretary, and she told me that I couldn't use one of the 2A fields that I had reserved for about 3 months. And she said because Scott Rogers, I don't know if that name, he's the one that owns the batting cages, his Casper Crush team needs it because they have Billings coming down. I said, that's the problem. There's no mounds over at the other field. So I got a hold of Kaylin Hill to see if I could borrow a portable mound. Then all of a sudden, Scott Rogers' team moved over to the 1A field, and they used a portable mound because Kaylin would not let me borrow a portable mound. I was successful on using them, but I did have to pay $70 an hour to have those fields groomed. And I had to pay CYB $70 to have both those fields groomed, which is, they figured, an hour a time. I would like the ability to groom those fields myself if I have Gillette coming in for a doubleheader. And grooming means putting the chalk down, putting the baselines, putting everything in. And that's the problem. And right now there is no bases in the CYB fields either. So if I go out there, Field of Dreams, is what I mean by CYB. There are no bases. They won't put bases till middle of May. So I'm kind of just putting little ragtag, hoping that if they, run. And we play a different brand of baseball than what CYB plays. We play a more competitive brand of baseball. I will get 50 to 60 games out of these kids this year, which is huge for a 10-year-old kid. And that's what we do. And we operate on the foundation that not a single kid pays a single penny. I'm taking these kids to Branson, Missouri, July 1st through the 7th, to Ballparks of America. We're going to represent Casper, Wyoming out there. First team ever out of Wyoming to go out there. I'm going to get cowboy hats for these kids that say Young Guns, and they're going to represent Casper, Wyoming, and Branson, Missouri, Ballparks of America. That costs $750 per kid. Guess what? These kids didn't pay a penny out of their pocket because of fundraising and the way I operate with them.
Councilman Powell, did you have any other questions?
So follow up. So So you would take issue with Mr. Corio's statement that everyone can be accommodated with a schedule?
I do take issue. Right now, yeah, we could all use them, no problem, but come when baseball season's really clicking, May, second weekend of May, all the way till July, CYB has Field of Dreams. You have probably 11 Casper Crush teams with one field, trying to use that one field over there. Times just get rough.
And just one, because I get irritated about this, Mr. City Manager, weren't we told that the Crush was instructed to take those signs down?
Your Honor, that's correct. We've read reports that signs are up there and they were not, they were inappropriate signs, and we've directed them to take them down, at least on one occasion, recently.
Do we know if that happened?
It was taken down?
Yes.
I'll swing by there tomorrow at work and see if they are. If they are, I'll take a picture of them. If not, then I will. And that's all I wanted to do, is I just wanted to let you guys know I don't think we got a fair shake. We had a beautiful proposal. Listen, I don't think it was proposed at all. We just want the opportunity. That's all we want. We're willing to share with them, and I'll let the Crush on the field. I don't care. I want to see baseball prosper here. I want to go to Casper or Branson, Missouri, and represent Casper in a good name. I mean, it's a beautiful, check it out, ballparksofamerica.com, beautiful facility I'm taking these kids to. And I'm giving them nothing but opportunities. But you guys aren't giving us the opportunity, and that's all I ask.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I supported the lease on the ball fields.
Oh, I'm going to sit down. Thank you so much for your support.
I supported the lease on the ball fields because we don't have a plan in place for them right now. It looks like we've got two people that are willing to do all the work, and that's what we were told, but I don't remember any proposal either from them. Now, I wouldn't support, huge upgrades as far as stands and dugouts, but it sounds to me like you're perfectly happy with just having the opportunity where you're at. They're small. I was driving by them today, and it's small, but we're not doing anything with them. So I'm with, Councilman Johnson, if we could maybe talk about this again.
Councilman Morgan.
Thank you, Mayor Humphrey. I just wanted to follow up. Councilman Walsh already pointed out some of the topics that I wanted to touch on. I'd be interested to see the proposal given. It'd be great to see some of the questions that I had brought up during that work session was specifically, the $15,000 for the infield. Was that something that you guys were thinking of helping out with? What was a minimum? Are you interested in doing a lease with a minimum and maximum to support those fields? It sounds like you are. You definitely have the enthusiasm to, and I appreciate that. Just as Councilman Walsh did mention, the concessions and that $250,000, it seems a little overrated, especially with some of the food trucks that tour town. I think they're great. The dugouts, that's a safety issue, and I think that might be addressed. Yeah, I'd like to revisit it also. Thank you.
Anybody else? So gentlemen, give me a call tomorrow. Let me know how it goes, and then I'll update council, and we can go from there. Is there? You bet. Anybody else in the audience who wishes to speak to council? Good evening.
There, looks like musical chairs up here. Good to see you back there. Chris, good to see you. Your father has to be beaming down with pride. Same with your grandfather. Mr. Morgan, I haven't had the pleasure to meet you, but I'll visit with you later. Congratulations. Sorry I wasn't here for your swearing in. Really good to see you under better circumstances, Chris. I'm doing real well, okay? These guys put up with me quite a bit, and they're very cordial.
For those that don't know you, you better give us.
Tracy Lamont, 721 East 12th Street. I live on the mountain most of the time. I like to call that God's country, but I love it down here too. But anyhow, I compliment you guys every time I come here, and I'm not blowing smoke by you. You've all treated me with dignity, always, when I wasn't doing well or doing good. And you all had to work really hard to beat the folks you had here out. You worked really hard. Tonight I'm here, I don't know why I get drafted, but my phone rings and I ought to give up on Facebook is what I ought to do, but I get private chat all the time. But, I got myself in over my head with my Citizen Legal of Wyoming site and the Casper Mountain site and several others, but, I don't get my mail picked up all the time on time, and I missed my little card for Washington Park in the public hearing. And, you know, I lucked out and got here. But I felt a tremendous amount of frustration from the staff at that public hearing. And I've been around the woodshed for a long time. You all know that. And I ask the hard questions. And I'm not going to put anybody on the spot. And I'll come back to the next meeting. We can answer them then. But this thing in Washington Park got way out of hand. Way out of hand. And when I'm hearing Mayor, you and Sean didn't know anything about it, I'm going, wait a minute. We don't have a staff that's going to divvy up a park in about 9 lots, as near as I could tell, and relocate a street, Jefferson Street, move it further east in the park, where it dead ends right now. It's going to go straight through the park. It was on that plot. You just had to look real close. Unless I missed my magnifying glass that night, or needed some magnifying glasses, but it went right behind the bandwagon, the bandstand that Mickey and Susie paid a premium to fix for all of us. But we were fixing to dump 9 lots. And near as I can tell, I think it was River City Builders.
Tracy, maybe, I don't know if you were here at the hearing.
I was here.
Okay.
And I looked at it, Bob. Hear me out.
Well, the bottom line is what you're saying is not going to happen.
I know that, but we need to expose what was about ready to happen. This is a public comment, period. And I'm here, I'm not feeling warm and fuzzy about this deal. I've been around too long to see things get ran up the flagpole through the back door another direction. We got a historic park that was going to go to 9 lots.
That's not right.
That was on there.
You saw the picture.
Okay.
There was really 1 lot that was concerned, and that lot.
But
part of it was originally.
let me make it this easy.
One at a
Bob.
time, fellas, otherwise I can't catch.
Okay.
Go ahead, Tracy. But
Okay, let me finish here. 'Cause there's a lot of people. There was over 4,000 people that came out of the woodwork at a snap of a finger. And they're not feeling real comfortable about this because it can bleed off to others. The other side of that, what they're not comfortable about, is when they hear from the council members, Sean, I think Kane had a comment too, that they didn't know anything about this. You know, where it was headed. That concerns me. That really concerns me. That means if it was members of the last 4 of the council, and I'm going to be talking to each one of those guys individually that were here, because what I've been led to believe is the old council is the one that brought this, got the ball moving. So that means you, and you. You weren't in the loop for as far as it had moved. That's wrong. For that much real estate going to change hands. My question is, there was another gentleman that ended up, Keith Garlick was a friend, ended up with a piece of parcel. Did that parcel he ended up with go out for a bid? Or did it just change hands? That's up on around Sunrise somewhere.
You have about 30 seconds.
Okay, let me finish. I want a copy of that plot that was shown that night. Then I'll be back to talk to you. Okay, and that street was going to be relocated. I'll close with this, Bob. My family is notorious for not asking a question they don't even already have an answer for. I wanted to expose this so it doesn't happen again. Your staff, you got an awesome staff right here, all the way through. You're lucky. You're blessed. And they don't do things without being told by the council to move forward to do those things. It just doesn't happen. And it didn't get by me. It didn't get by me at all. So we'll be looking at I'll be more than glad to come to a work session because I don't want to embarrass you guys. Okay? We got to work together, but we can't let this happen again. I'll be more than glad to visit with any of you one-on-one. You can call me. My father's phone number's in the book on the mountain. I'm there usually after dark or any time before about 7:30 in the morning.
Okay.
And I appreciate you working with these baseball people. I don't know who the 4 voted against them, but shame on you. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience who wishes to speak to council? Good evening. I thought you were going to say the pledge for me, but you didn't do it.
She's nervous enough about it.
Oh, Don't be nervous.
I didn't want to stick her up too much.
Okay.
Do you want me to help you? She wrote a letter that she'd like to read to you. She's a little nervous now. Do you want me to read it for you? Okay. So, Maggie Jacobson and Amy Kidd, 455 Milton Avenue. You want me to start it? You can take over. You can tell me your name. All right.
We could turn around. Would that help?
You practicing? Okay, I'll read it for you. I am a 4th grade student at Verda James. I use the overpass to walk across Wyoming Boulevard every day. Our overpass could use some TLC. I would like for you to walk on the overpass one day so you can see what I'm talking about. There are lots of spots that are crumbling, rusting, and have wires sticking out or have been patched up with metal. You can even see rebar sticking out in some places. Besides the fact that it looks junky, it doesn't feel very safe. I took some pictures for you to look at so you can see how bad it really is. Please consider fixing our bridge. Thank you.
Did you take those pictures by yourself? No. No? Do you walk it every single day? Is it steep?
No.
Okay. Should I try it for some exercise?
Sure.
Okay, I'll try it.
Your Honor,
Go ahead.
who's responsible for that bridge?
I'm thinking it might be YDOT. Okay. City? Okay. Either way, we'll definitely spread the word so that we can try to take care of that. All right. Thanks for coming. Who else in the audience would like to speak to council? Good evening.
Good evening. Nathan Fryer, 731 South Walsh, 207A. I wanted to address the ball fields one more time. It was something I tried to get up here, and, you know, everybody's got something to say, and that's fine. But I wanted to bring up, in the spirit of all fairness, that we did not get around to hearing the reasons behind the nay votes from the work session. And I believe in the spirit of fairness, these teams need to know what the objections are in order to effectively address them and have a chance at serving our community and correcting this eyesore on their own. Thank you.
Go ahead.
So I was one of the ones that voted no, and part of the reason, and I'm going to look at you ladies because I think you guys deserve eye contact and not somebody that's going to keep their head down
I'm just going to sit down
when they're explaining a decision, because we don't always agree on how we make decisions, but and our votes. But the cool thing about it is we can make decisions and we can still like each other and we can still respect each other. And I think that's what's missing right now in politics. So what was told to us is that it was going to take a great deal of renovation and work. So the concern for the city is that we are running in a very tight budget this year because of the downturn of the economy. So I was not aware, not that I'm making excuses because I take responsibility for my vote, I was not aware of the proposal per se. And so the decision on my part is concern for the city financially and what we need to be able to do and how we need to be able to take care of the city's finances. Because as a city council member, that's what we do. Now, does that make sense? You're looking at me and maybe kind of shaking your head like, well, but we're not playing ball. And I completely understand that because my passion is young people. And it was a very hard decision for me to be able to make those decisions. And it is hard. Although if there is, I'm always the type of person that also looks at other things. And I'm willing to also, if there's other opportunities to try to make something better, I'll do that. And I'll work at that. And you guys coming in here and holding signs and saying in solidarity as a group is a very powerful statement, and that you guys are actually doing social activism. Whether you believe it or not, that's what you're doing. and coming in here and saying to this governmental body, you know what, you're wrong in your vote, and this is why. And that's social activism. And you guys are making a change in your community, which I'm very proud of you for doing that. But with that being said, my no vote was primarily financial reason. I know that's not the greatest reason in the world, but that was what was told to me, and that's what my decision was on it. But now that I know that there's some options and there's some ideas, I'm telling you that I'm also open to compromising, the big C word that nobody wants to talk about anymore. So that was my decision, ladies. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, anyone else in the audience who wants to come down? Good evening.
Good evening. My name's Shannon Eli. I live at 2382 Sagewood Avenue. And regarding ball fields for the girls and the boys, myself, I see them, if they're putting the work into it and helping the city, I don't see where the city's losing anything. They're gaining ball fields that are going to be upgraded. Kids are taking care of them. They're learning responsibility through their parents. Their parents are wanting to step forward and do the work on the ball fields. It's costing the city very little, as far as I can see. It's a win-win situation for the city. That was my only comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Good evening.
Good evening. My name's Jenna Spurlock, 2620 Knollwood Drive. I'm a mother of one of the Cobra players. I just want to let you guys know that we are willing to put in all this money so that we can get fields. We travel to Glen Rock to play for the fall. Out of the Casper parents, we do. Douglas players come into Glen Rock and travel there also. You know, we go to Gillette and everywhere else. We give them all of our money, and everyone travels there. We travel to Gillette twice during the fall. I probably spent a good $3,000 to $4,000 there in Gillette, just so that these girls can play. When we would rather it be here and let our girls play here and just give them a chance. Every night we travel to Glen Rock so that we can just let them play for an hour and a half and then come back and travel again. I don't get home until 9 o'clock. I got children at home that I have to take care of. I've also given her an opportunity to play, keep her out of trouble. She's not, you know, out doing drugs or anything. So we're just asking as parents to give these girls the opportunity to let them have those fields and play. I play softball as a mom for the adults. I get to go on the city fields and play. I pay $30 to do that. And I play for the summer and fall. And that's all I pay for. I put in a good $200-300 just to let her play so that we can go and play tournaments. And that doesn't even cover, but we have over 36 plus girls that are wanting to play right now. I don't know about Young Guns. My son plays for him, but I know the same thing. They don't get that opportunity to play, and it's keeping all these kids out of trouble, how I look at it. We got 16 to 18-year-olds on our team. You know, they're not out there getting in trouble. We got them active doing stuff, just to give us that opportunity as parents and our children to have that opportunity to play and not shut them down on letting them practice or even hold tournaments here so people could come and see that we're able to do it instead of traveling to Rock Springs, South Dakota, Montana. You know, they're giving us that opportunity, but Casper's not giving us that fair share for us. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor?
Go ahead.
I'm getting mixed signals on this baseball thing. I have no idea how many baseball teams there are, how many leagues there are, but it sounds like every baseball team wants their own field, and they all say that, yeah, we can take care of it, and at the same time, they say we can't afford to pay somebody else $70 an hour to do something, whatever, putting chalk down or whatever, and yet we talk about traveling with kids, getting motels. It sounds to me like there's a real opportunity here for the baseball groups themselves to get together and make a Natrona County Baseball Association, because we have more than just fields in Casper. We have fields in other cities, and maybe they ought to go in and say, okay, everybody pitches in X dollars, and then we schedule it with the fields we have. So that would be a cooperation effort that would save us a lot of grief, because no matter what this body does, it's not going to be right for somebody. And you guys have been there. So I'm just food for thought. You guys all get your heads together as Natrona County Baseball Association and maybe there's something that can be done. You guys do the scheduling, we got the fields out there, so just food for thought. Thank
Good
you.
evening.
My name's Carrie Allen, 6949 Umpqua River Road. Obviously, we're here with the Cobras. I think what some of us ladies were frustrated with was after your work session and voting down us having the fields, I think where the girls came up with their Girls Matter, because we listened to it as a family, is that it was, well, if a group of guys want to use the field, well, what about the ladies? During the fall, Pee Wee football is on the North Casper field number 1. We aren't allowed to use it. Pee Wee football is on that. During the summer, we are very welcome. You know, we would love to share the fields. The problem is the fields, a lot of the fields other than North Casper number 1 are too long. So we have to put up, what are snow fences? With rebars. So we put up a construction fence with a bar. Do you know how scary that is as a parent to watch your outfielder going for a pop fly and praying that she doesn't fall on that bar and jab herself in the ribs, poke herself in the eye, or get one of those through your neck? It's terrifying as a parent to watch your child do that. We're just asking for more than one field to be softball regulation. We're willing to share. We actually asked the Casper Voltage and also the Casper Rec girls, when you have a rec league, all of our girls play on the rec league as well. You have 5 rec leagues, 2 travel teams, all trying to use the same one field, and then also working around the adults. So we appreciate the fact that you guys are going to look into this again, and we'll definitely reach out to Dan, and hopefully he'll have some answers, but just something to think about, that the fields are too long for softball. Okay? Thank you.
Oh, I don't know. Twice might be cheating.
One more comment.
Gonna cost
To
you.
answer his question.
All right.
Okay. I don't know how many baseball teams there are either. There are a lot, but there are 2 travel softball teams in Casper that I know of. Now, I don't know, I mean, we are actually, through the state of Wyoming, we have our letter from the Secretary of State that says we are the Casper Cobras. So we represent Casper, okay, statewide. So that was to answer your question. We have two girls teams that I know of.
Only, okay.
We have different age groups.
Yeah.
I have a 12U and a 16U, and I think they have, yeah.
Team leagues.
But, yeah, and we can't play on fields with mounds. So baseball fields don't work for us. The fields that we have are not regulation in size. So that's where we're at.
Well, as I said, I don't know anything about baseball, but
There you go.
seems like there's a whole lot of baseball players out there.
There is.
Oh, come on.
So sorry, I know you want to go.
You totally planned that.
I did. Let
You're
me
in
answer
trouble
your
now,
question real
too.
quick. Actually, there's 7 teams in Casper alone. There's 5 teams that the Crush have that are a 9-10-year-old blend, a 9-10-year-old my team, and then there's a team called the Casper, or the Elite. And we are trying to form a league. That was something we were going to do with those fields. If we got them, we were going to try to form a league. I'm asking my kids not to play CYB, along with the Crush. They're asking their kids not to play CYB. Unfortunately, CYB owns the rights to the CYB fields during the time we try to put together a league. So with those fields, we would be able to put together a league and ask these kids to move away from CYB. We've proposed a CYB. If they don't want to lose the revenue, they might want to look into putting together a competitive league where there's just our teams playing against each other, and they provide the chalk, and I'll pay the $155 per kid for the kids to play, if that makes sense. CYB is very resistant to it. But I have been talking to Kaylin Hill and trying to get this together. I'm always trying to work on stuff. I tell you what, it seems like it's a full-time job. So
I think there's more politics in your guys' sport than there is in politics. I'm
trying
just
to
saying.
eliminate the politics. I really am. I just want the kids to play ball. That's it. So.
Okay, so I'll look forward to hearing from you guys tomorrow. Okay. Hello.
I'm with the Casper Cobras. The only thing I wanted to come up here to say is I wanted to talk to you as a player. I want to tell you what my story is. It's really hard for us to find fields and like this whole thing, this politics, this thing. I don't get it. I don't understand any of this. But I do understand that a lot of us, all of us, this is my family. I call them my family. They're all my sisters. My dad is my coach. I mean, they're my whole family. But I want them to stay. This is my family. I love them, and I want them to be able to play with me, and I want to be able to play with them, and I want to have the area to practice so that we get better as a team. We bond together. We're able to have an area for ourselves and put the time and effort into something we all love so that we're not failing as a team. And we want to come together and help the community. I mean, we try to get out there, and it's hard. It's hard to find fields to practice on. I mean, we go to Glen Rock, like Jenna said, we go to Glen Rock every single day, and it costs money. I mean, it's even busy down there. We go down there, and some of our fields are taken up by youth baseball down there. Some of our fields are taken up by pee-wee football down there. It's just hard for us girls to find a field to play on because so many fields are being taken up by baseball or pee-wee football or other travel teams or rec leagues or whatever. And it's sad because I want girls to have that opportunity to play just as much as boys do. And that's why I made the sign, because girls matter too. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
So folks, we hear you loud and clear. We'll do everything we can to help. So anybody else in the audience? Mr. Zimmerly, I'm sorry about the phone tag.
That's all right. Dale Zimmerly, 3035 Bel Air Drive. I've heard, and go Detroit Tigers, by the way. But I've heard to talk a lot about change, and one thing I'm going to bring up is about change. The city meetings now are on the first and third Tuesday, and the work sessions are on the second and fourth. I would propose that you consider flopping those around so that we as citizens can go to the county meetings, which are going on right now at the same exact time. That way, if your meetings were on the second and fourth Tuesdays instead of the first and third, citizens would have the opportunity, since I also live in Natrona County besides the city of Casper, could go to both sets of meetings. And that's my request. Thank you.
Anyone else in the audience?
Hello, Amy.
Good evening.
Hi, Milton Avenue. I just wanted to talk about what Maggie had spoken about, her bridge. And you saw the pictures, it's in pretty rough shape. I did speak with the principal at Verda today, and he was under the assumption that the city Casper's responsibility as well. So I'm not sure. But as far as safety concerns go, more than just the kids walking in the rebar and, it's looking like it's going to fall apart soon, is that kids were actually taking chunks of the broken off concrete, and last year got in trouble for this. We're throwing them on the cars that we're driving underneath, and a few windshields were broken. So it's a bigger issue than just the kids, but so safety all around, and I encourage you to walk it because it's pretty shabby. So anyhow, thank you.
Thank you. I'll let you know what I find out too.
Appreciate it.
You bet. Good evening.
I'm Kim Perez. I live at 58 Pioneer Avenue, and I just came to introduce myself to the new city council members. I am the new CEO of Joshua Storehouse, and I just wanted to introduce myself. I come in peace. I have no baseball issues, although I am an activist and I am a girl. So, and I just wanted to welcome the new members and present myself to you and hope that we can find a working relationship as they have in the past.
Welcome and congratulations on the position. Does anybody have any questions?
We've made quite a few changes so far, so for your next work session, I'll be presenting you some things, and I hope that the changes are going to find a welcome response as to what it has been in the past.
Okay, excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I think we'll go ahead and go around the table. We'll start with Councilman Hopkins.
Thank you, Mayor.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is there anyone else in the audience who wishes to speak to council? Good evening.
Mayor, council members, that was pretty sneaky, but I stood up in time. Appreciate the opportunity to speak. Keith Goodenough, 333 South Saconee, and just had a few thoughts tonight, mostly for the new members, because I've dealt with the old members on a frequent basis for the last 10 years. But I think the new members can help make this an activist council versus a ceremonial council. And if that is to happen, then things really get done and versus things just looking like they get done. And of course, the domestic violence and rape issue has been big over the last 4 months. I think it's going to take a lot of effort to actually make some changes there, but I think if the new people actually dig down and look at it, that we could actually have some significant changes. But it's tough to change a bureaucracy. It's tough to change any bureaucracy. I think it's especially tough to change a police bureaucracy. So I hope that you'll think of that in those terms, ceremonial versus activist. I also wanted to point out that, I'm sorry, Councilperson Huckabee isn't here tonight, but she ran partially on the issue of domestic violence and rape response from the cop shop and the city council and the attitude and the role of the city manager and all of that. And so it seems to me it's only good manners to cut her in on all the discussions that take place or the committees that are made or the efforts that are done. And I don't believe that's happening. But it's just good political manners that somebody who put a lot of effort into putting that out as a issue during the campaign is included in the efforts that take place subsequently. So I think that's just good manners. I'd like to mention the council ethics code that I believe is unconstitutional, at least part of it. And this all came about because of the Craig Hedquist blow up. And what we ended up with, or what you ended up with now, is a ethics code that says that if a council person brings embarrassment to the council, that they can be removed from office by a 2/3 vote of the other council members. So you're elected by the people, your fellow council people don't appreciate your attitude, and I know something about that, let me tell you. And then you're booted off the council even though the citizens put you on the council. And I just believe that that is probably, or I believe it's unconstitutional. You may recall in 94, 96, there was a statewide term limits initiative passed by the voters. It applied to the legislature and the statewide elected officials. That was eventually found unconstitutional because of Article 3 of Section 1, Article 3 of the state constitution, which you all swore to uphold. But if you take the time to read that particular section, that is why term limits was declared unconstitutional. And so the idea that 2/3 of you could kick out Todd Murphy because he brought embarrassment to the council, I think is unconstitutional. And the problem is that you as elected officials can pass unconstitutional measures, and then it's up to the person being damaged to take it to court, spend the money to go into court. We all know how expensive that is. So I think you have a duty to look at your actions, and if they are unconstitutional, to fix them. So I hope you would do that. I brought up before the use of the chambers for public meetings and also political meetings, and have been told that that is not possible without some major turmoil happening in the community. But it is true in Cheyenne that they regularly use their council chambers for political forums and for during the campaign season. So I guess my question to you would be, if Cheyenne can do it, why can't Casper do it? And I don't know if there's a difference in code or what it is exactly, but I hope that you would consider that, because these are the only chambers in town that have television capabilities. I will leave the rest of it for later, except to point out that I have a little bit of concern that all of this Russian political influence is infiltrating the council chambers, because I happen to notice on the wall over here the oversized picture of our former mayor, Paul Meyer, has disappeared from the wall, and you may know that historically in Soviet Russia, that was how you erase people from the historic memory, was by removing their pictures. And so I just want to say that I think you need to watch out that his picture reappears on the wall. It was 1/3 bigger than every other picture I noticed, so perhaps it's just an attempt to downsize his picture to match the rest of them. But I hope you will follow up on that issue. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
The council picture keeper.
Keith, Paul wants a better picture. He didn't like the way it turned out.
Councilman Hopkins.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Couple items. We had a meeting today with the Economic Development Joint Powers Board, and they're looking at a change order to probably add some footage to the sewer line that we're putting out 33 Mile Road. So we'll probably be hearing some more about this. At the same time this morning, we had a update on the WCA Training Center. And, you know, while the economy has really taken a downturn and it's hurt what they do, they have really gone after some new programs, and they're doing things the right way. They have downsized, they have made a number of financial changes, and they're pretty well on target for what they said they would do. One of the things that came out of that is they really are looking seriously at doing additional training that would help the medical field. And that's a winner for all of us. If we have a second large industry in Casper, it's certainly become the medical field. So that's encouraging to hear. And over the weekend, I was up and got a quick tour of the Hogadon Lodge, and it's come along very well. We were using cold weather and a little snow, but it's going to be a gorgeous facility. And I think another thing that came about was that I was told that they've had a number of people want to rent the lodge next summer and next winter for various goings-on. So that's encouraging. Maybe a little source of revenue we haven't ever had before. So pleased to hear that. Thank you.
Councilman Walsh.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would just like to touch on the Safe Ride program that was brought up, and that is a great program. When it was brought into the city, DUIs were out of control. It's definitely a contributing factor in reducing that, and it provides an option for people that find themselves too impaired to be able to get home. So I don't know that we can compel any liquor license dealers to contribute to that, but we can certainly encourage everyone that it is a positive impact, because, you know, some of the pros and cons of that were, well, why should we pay or donate to anything that's going to help, you know, enable a drunk drive home or not drive home? That's what we want. It's the safety of everybody's family on the road. It's not the well-being of that one driver necessarily, but any one of us can be victim of someone who's had too much and made a bad choice. So I would encourage anybody to keep that in mind if you're looking for a good place to support something. Water plant or water board meeting today went pretty well, and emergency power or emergency generator project is online. And there's a lot of projects at the water plant that will be brought before us. In my mind, those are a #1 priority before a lot of other things. So when we see those, and we'll see those through the budgeting process, you can expect that I'll be supporting those. And water plant upgrades are huge. So, and I have a lot of questions from people. It was touched on, and I think Bob probably knows a lot of answers that I don't, on Washington Park and where that is. And I don't know if we are at a point where we can dispel some of the rumors out there or anything like that, but if we can, I think it would be a good idea.
Your Honor, Washington Park was not scheduled or brought up for sale. It was cleaning up a piece of property that was originally, council members were approached by someone to buy it. And as we looked at the property and just seeing it, we found out the street was in the wrong place where it's at. We probably have, and we confirmed it through a survey, that we have an encroachment on that property, so city property's actually been built on by someone privately. And as you saw with planning and zoning, it ended up being replatted into one property, the street removed from being in the middle of that property, and zoned Park Historic, as I think is the recommendation coming to council. And that's where it stands.
So the reality is, nothing's being sold, nothing's changing, right?
There are 4 pieces of property being sold by the city of Casper, or proposed for sale. Wolf Creek Cemetery, Fire Station number 6, a sliver of land over by the east, okay, stay with me here, east portal of the Beverly Street underpass, and a piece of property off of Barbara Street or Linda Street, or I think it's Barbara Street off of on North Casper that the city has no use for. That's the 4 pieces of property that we have appraised, and you'll see up on a list that the former council had looked at and reviewed for several months to look at property we just didn't have a use for.
Thank you. And I think we talked about the ballpark, and everybody knows where I'm standing on that, so that's all I have. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Okay, Councilman Powell.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just a little context on the whole Washington Park matter. I think what happened in the larger scheme is that there was some discussion within leadership with the city manager's office and the staff about a whole variety of parcels that the city owns throughout Casper that we just have they were kind of leftover pieces. And I think what I recall is that we simply said, let's take a look at each one of these and see if we should still own them, and if there is another beneficial use for these properties. So with the idea that they would come up one by one and we would talk about whether we should do anything with them. There was no hidden agenda about any of these parcels. It was just a matter of taking a look at them one by one to see if in fact we needed to own them, and if so, how should they be zoned. And through this process, we did discover some things that we really needed to know. And so, unfortunately, people want to run with those things and essentially make up some stories that really had no basis in fact. And so, I'm going to stand with what the Planning and Zoning Commission is recommending for now, anyways, and that makes sense. Thank you all for coming. That was a strong statement. I think the other thing we have been concerned about with all of our city properties, and unfortunately we do have some history with these lease agreements where people agree to make improvements and then maintain them, and then their maintenance sort of slides over time, and then the city has to take care of it. And we are understaffed. We don't have extra staff to maintain additional properties. We're barely able to take care of what we have. And so that was another consideration I think that played into the discussion is, do we really want to take that on? But I am interested, as others have mentioned, in seeing this proposal, and possibly we could be reassured that this is still a possibility. But I want to emphasize again that the city owns the fields that have been under discussion here. They are leased, but the city owns them. And so we want, I asked very directly, have we heard any complaints? I want to hear if there are problems with sharing of those fields, because that is not tolerable. A couple other things. On a positive note, the Restorative Justice Conference is being held next month. I cannot attend, but I hope people will if they can. This is a very serious thing for us to discuss, to work on some of the people, to work with some of the folks that have created problems in our community and violated the rights of others, for them to really take a very close look at what they're doing to other human beings, and to try to make reparations and sensitize them to the impact of their criminal actions. And this is a very positive thing for us to take a look at and see if the city can be involved in developing a whole different way of dealing with crime. Not a whole different way, but to add something positive to how we deal with crime versus just locking people up. I'm going to be meeting with the Meth Conference Planning Committee, which is another group that's trying to address a very serious problem in it's a Meth and Substance Abuse Conference Planning Committee, and there will be another, I think this is the 8th or 9th annual conference, and my experience with these things is it really? Okay, thank you. But it's not common for an initiative like this to have this much staying power over time. And it's because people have been very concerned about the problem and have year after year gotten together to try to help us get educated about it. Likewise, there will be a suicide prevention conference in Casper in June. I don't have those dates. I want to piggyback on what
Charlie, your microphone's not on.
Oh, geez, I'm sorry.
Did that again. Can you repeat everything you said?
Please don't.
Sorry.
Wish you would have said that just a little earlier. I normally keep it on, but I want to piggyback on what Councilman Hopkins said about Hogadon. Hogadon project is very complex, and we allocated a set amount of money for it. And tonight was the first change order that we received, which was really an engineering change order dictated by some needed. I think it was $11,000 if I remember correctly. And the point is that that GW Phipps, as the builder of this facility, have just done a remarkable job of working within budget and making their timelines, and have done a beautiful job. And they aren't just doing a job up there. This is something they're very committed to, and they're doing a great job up there, and we should appreciate what they've done. So sorry that the rest of that was not transmitted.
It was good, though.
I guess you all know that. But thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. Councilman Murphy.
Thank you, Your Honor. I was on at the water board meeting today and went on the tour of the water treatment facility with Councilman Walsh, and it reaffirmed what I already had believed, and that water's got to be the #1 priority, and the maintenance of that facility is the same priority. And so that was a big learning lesson. We also learned, I think, today that we are really blessed with the staff we have out there. They're really way above average for what a municipality of ours would normally enjoy. And I look forward to seeing a proposal for the softball team, and because everybody needs to be treated fair.
Councilman Johnson.
I just want to thank all you guys for coming out and being persistent. It's a good thing. That's how change gets made. We live on the same street, I just realized. Yes. So. Other than that, that's all I had at the Regional Water Joint Powers Board meeting today. We got some updates on projects, and that's about it. That's all I got.
I'd just like to thank all the groups that have participated in tonight's meeting. I think it's great. Even those that still reach out to us in email, that's outstanding too. The City of Casper Council, we don't live everywhere. We don't participate in the same things that you do after work, so I think it's great when you have groups or individuals come to us with a problem or concern. That's something that we listen to. We don't always agree. However, we do talk about it, and if it's a great idea, we move forward with it. And yeah, that's all I have. Thank you.
So I don't have too much to share. I'm just going to wrap up what I wanted to say really quickly to you guys. One of my favorite quotes, and I always say it all the time whenever I work with young people, is Archimedes said, show me a place to stand and I can move the world. And so my hope, my desire for young people has always been that you are empowered to change your place anywhere. And so you come in here, whatever the outcome may be, that you know that you took the time to come in here, sit through all this conversation, sit through this process, and sometimes this process is not very fun, it's boring, etc. But that you sat through this and you have an idea, and you said, this is what we believe in. And we may all not agree on everything, but that we respect that you came up here and to fight what you believe in. And so don't ever stop doing that. Always remember that you can make an impact in your community even at your age, okay? And that's the most amazing thing that you can take away from this very moment that you were in here and wanting to make that. So find a place to stand and move the world, okay? Good job, you guys.
Okay, so we have a little bit of a homework list. Sounds like we want to recheck parked licenses, kind of at the time frame where we think some action's going to happen.
Madam Mayor, I would say that it would be fair if, and
I understand we're talking rough estimates. It was June of 17, maybe for these to be activated, but at least we should know what the status is at that time. So June or July.
Okay, so I've got that on my list of things. We need to dig into the overpass repairs. Looks like we're going to need to dig into some softball fields. There's been a lot of email calls, talk about recycling, so we're going to bring that topic back to a work session with a little bit more information from our city staff, so we'll look forward to that. So for some of the citizens that were concerned about the e-recycling, we're going to re-examine that. I heard the question about changing our meeting times, so I'll look into that. I know we've discussed use of council chambers in the past, but I can bring that up again and see what council's pleasure might be. Is Councilman Meyer's picture really, okay. Is it really missing?
Yes.
Oh. Okay, then I'm crossing that one off my list. And we still need a date for the sexual assault panel. I have not forgotten that, so as soon as I know that date, we'll get that out and announced. So that's our list of things to do. Councilman Powell.
Point of order, Your Honor. Liquor license guidelines is on our work session agenda for March 28th.
Okay.
So we'll be talking about the parking process then, and hopefully we'll know what the legislature had decided to do by then. I'm sure we will. Thank you.
Excellent. All right, the next meetings of the City Council will be a work session to be held at 4:30 p.m. Tuesday, February 28th, 2017 in the Council's meeting room, and a regular Council meeting to be held at 6 p.m. Tuesday, March 7th, 2017 in the Council chambers. The Chair would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Johnson, seconded by Councilman Pacheco. Please cast your vote. Please record the vote.
All members voting aye, motion passes.
Thank you. We are adjourned.